Hey guys, Mr. McSweeney here to talk about lighting, but not for videography, for design. Now this video is not all encompassing, it's just sharing kind of what I've learned along the way and some of the ideas and concepts that I employ in my classroom. You can take these same design concepts and ideas and apply them to different styles to fit different tastes, different uses, and different needs. So what is our primary goal in designing our lighting? Well, we want to create a unique experience for our guests. We want them to come in and have that visual experience, which is going to create the mood, the vibe, whatever you want to call it, by using lighting. So how are we going to structure the lighting to create that experience? Okay, so one of the big things that we want to look at when we are doing lighting is to layer the lighting. If you can imagine adding a light, adding a light, adding a light, adding a light in different areas, and you're going to cast different lighting effects throughout that room. So whenever we're thinking about lighting, always be sure to be thinking about how you're layering the light. It is not just one big light. This is going to be multiple light sources doing all kinds of different things to create the experience that you want people to have when they come into your space. Okay, another element of light that we really want to look into is the color temperature. Color temperature is typically described in three different ways. You have warm, daylight, and cool. With these colors, what we're really describing is the variation of white. So a light is sometimes described, oh, it's a white light. However, that's not technically true. It depends on the color temperature of that light. This is measured in Kelvin, which is a type of temperature. And it's the scale goes from like 3,000 to sometimes like 9,000. The warm lights are more on that 3,000 and lower side. So it can go as low as like 2,200. If you go any lower than that, it's like red. So you want to kind of match your color temperature to the environment you're getting. So warm, like these are measured at 3,000 Kelvin, and that's just the look that I want for my room. So you have warm lighting, which is what I like to use in my classroom. Warm lighting brings out that cozy, warm, even like just warm, being by a fire or having a candle, that is a warm light. And I like to use it because it kind of keeps my environment nice and cozy feeling. So when students walk in, they get this like, oh, I can kind of chill in here, plop down on the couch, there's not a lot of stress, it's safe. And that's kind of what that warm lighting does. Daylight is around 5,000, usually 5,200 to 5,500. And that is exactly what it sounds like. It's if you go outside at like noon, that would be the color daylight. It is typically used to match what a real color looks like. So the light in my room is very yellowish, right? The warm color. If I held up something that was blue and it had the yellow light hitting it, that is going to change that hue of blue. If you use a daylight light and you show that same blue, it's going to reflect a true blue. It more accurately represents the actual color. So my key light for videography is daylight because I want it to accurately reflect what I look like. And daylight is used, so if you're using daylight color in a classroom or in a space, typically it's like very invigorating. It kind of elicits like productivity because people are busy during the day, and it's used in a lot of spaces like that. Let's talk about cool lighting. Cool lighting will be up in the higher Kelvins, and what it brings out is more blue colors. And it's my least favorite. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just my personal preference, my least favorite lighting. And it's a very clean, sterile lighting, and you can also find it like after sunset. So like after the sun sets, everything kind of turns blue outside. That's a very cool lighting. You can use it for a variety of reasons, variety of uses. Oftentimes in like bathrooms, they'll use cool lighting because it does give the appearance that our things are a little bit more sterile and clean as well. So those are different lightings. They do elicit different moods. They do influence the colors, right? A warm light adds more yellow. A daylight is a more pure white light, and a cool light brings out more blue tones. So depending on how you're structuring your lighting and doing layering and what your tones are in your room, that's very, very important. So let's talk about some different types of lighting. You have ambient lighting, accent lighting, and task lighting. Those three typically cover everything. Ambient lighting is what it sounds like. It is the primary light source that is lighting up the main environment. It usually creates the main mood. So in my case, I have these kind of like work light type of things with like the exposed tungsten bulbs, and that creates that warm cafe feel that I'm trying to go for in here. It lights up the room enough where I don't technically need another light source, but adding in light sources and layers does help create the overall experience. So that can be any type. Like typically in a school, you have your ambient lighting are your ceiling lights. But ambient lighting does not have to come from the ceiling. It can come from other areas like recessed lighting. I have lots of lighting underneath my windowsill or underneath my whiteboard, and that just adds light into the room. Accent lighting typically will highlight something in the room. So for instance, that light, the light tube, draws your attention back into that corner where I have that really cool wood display and some pictures. I have RGB lights around my board because the board is obviously another focal point in a classroom, and I can change the mood by messing with those colors. But I would just have some random lights around my room that creates some fun little accents as well. You have task lighting. Task lighting is what you would see behind me on those desks. It creates kind of, for me, it does two uses. One, it adds light to the room, right? And it highlights that workspace. So when people walk in, they go, oh, I can work in that area. The other thing is when you're sitting there, it kind of focuses that group to the group. So they can look around, but it also helps eliminate distractions because that task light focuses everybody into their space. Okay? So as we start looking at layering lighting, you want to think about the beam angle. So the lights up in my room, that's my ambient lighting, and that is just going to cast light all over the room. In the back, I have more of that task lighting. It's a direct beam. It's getting those people to focus on a specific area. And when you walk in my room, you see that these are very distinct workspaces. It does add light as well because that light bounces off the table, adds light in the room. But the beam angle can really influence a workspace and drive people to spaces or highlight certain things. Like if you have a spotlight on some works of art, that is really helpful as well. I know that was a lot of information on lighting. I typically always view lighting through the lens of videography, and now I'm starting to look at it through design. So I am no expert. Sometimes it's trial and error, sometimes it doesn't work, but it is a lot of fun. And you can create a lot of really unique experiences just by messing with the lighting. So I hope this video helps, and good luck.